Nearly 24 related Slavic peoples speak languages that at first glance look very similar. But only at first glance. If a Pole travels to Bulgaria, a free and easy conversation most likely won't happen. You may recognize individual words, but understanding fast speech without losing meaning will be very difficult. However, there is at least one language in the world that can be understood by absolutely all residents of Slavic countries. And I'm talking about the Interslavic language. Have you heard of it? If you speak one of the Slavic languages, write in the comments whether you understood what that woman said.
Не всі слов'яни розуміють междуслов'янський язик. Русский, український, польський, чешський, сербський і другі славянські язики створилися від общого корня. Але за тисячі і тисячі лет вони сучли різними путами.
This is Slavic. Here we talk about Slavs, and today we're talking about the Interslavic language. Let's dive in. You have probably heard of Esperanto. It's an artificial universal language created for people all around the world, and maybe that's why it never became truly widespread. The Interslavic language, however, has a very specific cultural and geographical purpose, and it's only half artificial. Interslavic uses a simplified average grammar of all Slavic languages as well as their vocabulary and syntax. It is usually written in a Slavic-style Latin alphabet and sometimes in Cyrillic, though Cyrillic can be difficult to read for those Slavic nations that don't normally use it. Even though all Slavic languages descend from a single ancestor, they still differ quite a lot lexically, and the differences grow the further the countries are from each other. For example, Russian is very different from the other Slavic languages because of the strong influence of Eastern dialects and because, for many years, the official language of the Russian nobility was French. Today, Russian has very little in common with its ancestor, Old East Slavic. Other Slavic languages also change under external influences.
Польський є позаймал много слов із немеческого, болгарський із греческого і турецкого, русский із французского. І то є оставляло крепкий след на словнике каждого языка. И за то же, то есть не всегда можливо найти общее слово, которое будет означать равнако значение для всех славян.
How is the vocabulary of the Interslavic language formed? The most similar words with the same meaning across the Slavic languages are selected. For example, take the word nedelya. In almost all Slavic languages, nedelya means Sunday. But in Russian, nedelya means a 7-day week from Monday to Sunday. Today, the Interslavic dictionary has around 18,000 words. For comparison, Polish has about 500,000. And all these Interslavic words are average variants designed to be understandable to the maximum number of Slavic speakers without translation. Sometimes, however, things get complicated. In many Slavic languages, there are lots of false friends, meaning words that sound the same but have different meanings. This can cause confusion. The creators of Interslavic try to exclude as many of these false friends as possible. For instance, the word smrad appears in the dictionary because it means bad smell, in most of Slavic languages. But in some languages, von also means a bad smell. Yet this word can't be used in Interslavic because in other Slavic languages, von actually means a pleasant aroma rather than a bad one. There are many other examples. In many Slavic languages, pozor means attention, while in Russian, pozor means shame and humiliation. When a Slovene says stol, he means a piece of furniture you sit on. But for a neighboring Croat, stol is a piece of furniture you eat at. When a Czech says čerstvý chleb, he means fresh bread. But if a Russian hears that bread is čerstvý, it means it's stale and dry. The same word describes the exact opposite type of bread in Russian and Czech. What examples do you know, guys? Share them in the comments. An interesting fact: the idea of creating a universal modern Interslavic language came to several different people at nearly the same time, and they did not even know each other. First, linguist Ondrej Rečnik, Gabriel Svoboda and Jan van Steenbergen began working on the Slovianski project, which they presented in March 2006. Slovianski was designed to be as simple as possible with a minimum of artificial elements. It existed in 3 versions, including simplified forms meant to be easier to learn. Second, parallel to Slovianski, another project called Slovioski was being developed, based on the early language Slovio, created in the 1990s by linguist Mark Huchko, who radically simplified Russian and made it schematic. The Slovioski team wanted to turn the original into something more realistic and useful. Third, at the same time, Czech teacher and programmer Wojciech Marunka was developing Novoslaviansky, whose grammar and vocabulary he presented in a 128-page booklet. His version had a more complex grammar filled with archaisms from Old Church Slavonic. For example, his first version even included this old letter. In 2011, the linguists discovered each other's work and decided to merge Slovianski, Slovioski, and Novoslaviansky. Together, they began working on a unified Interslavic project, bringing together the grammars and dictionaries they had developed. After 6 years of work, in 2017, the team presented the final version of the Interslavic language. The idea of creating a unified Slavic language may sound ideological, even pan-Slavic. Yet the authors emphasize that Interslavic is apolitical and has purely cultural value. Though that wasn't always the case. The first version of a Proto-Interslavic language was proposed back in the 9th century by who else? Cyril and Methodius. The Orthodox missionaries created the Slavic alphabet and introduced it to pagan Slavs along with Christianity. As a result, almost all European Slavs began writing with at least roughly the same letters. Their idea was that a unified alphabet would help Slavs stand on equal footing with the other peoples of Europe. Over time, Old Church Slavonic evolved into Russian, Ukrainian, Serbian, and other writing systems. Another attempt to create an early Interslavic language took place in 1661, undertaken by the Croatian scholar Juraj Križanić. Exiled in Tobolsk, he wrote grammatical inquiry into the Russian language, the idea of a pan-Slavic language. His idea was a blend of Russian, Church Slavonic, and Serbo-Croatian, all of which he mastered perfectly. In 1912, Czech linguist Josef Konečný invented Slavina, or Slavic Esperanto. However, it was based mostly on Czech, and despite borrowing elements from other Slavic languages, wasn't very understandable to many Slavs, especially southern or eastern ones. Konečný also tried to eliminate cases and grammatical gender, which made the language overly schematic. One of the last attempts came in the 1950s from Czech Esperantist Ladislav Podmele. He tried to create Međuslavianski jezik, working on grammar, an Esperanto Interslavic dictionary, and a full learning course. Since this was still Soviet-era Czechoslovakia, long before the Prague Spring of 1968, his language was based primarily on Russian. No one knows exactly how many people speak Interslavic today. The creators don't collect such statistics. But anyone interested can watch the film The Painted Bird, based on the semi-autobiographical novel by the American writer of Polish-Jewish origin Jerzy Kosinski. The filmmakers decided that some of the characters, Eastern European peasants, should speak Interslavic. Why? So that the film wouldn't be tied to any specific country, since Kosinski never named one in the book. One of the creators of Interslavic, Czech programmer Wojciech Marunka, considers the film's use of the language as undeniable success. Here's a practical utilitarian application, even if in art, he said in an interview. What I would be happy to see is Interslavic being used to make life easier. We don't want to build our project around some mythic past. We're doing this for the future, for the practical needs of modern civilization, Marunka says. He admits that when traveling through Slavic-speaking countries, he often switches to Interslavic, and people from Eastern, Western and Southern Slavic nations understand him.
Наприклад, я нині живем у Черногорії, і я не знам ні сербського, ні чорногорського, і я комунікую з людьми на междуслов'янському. Заісто геніально! Хвала велика за глядання, і да прибуде междуслов'янська сила з вами!
I think you already figured it out. If you are a speaker of any modern Slavic language, learning Interslavic will be very easy for you. And to understand it, you and I don't need any preparation at all. Write in the comments what you think about the Interslavic language. Do we need it to help Slavs understand each other better, or do you think it's a completely pointless idea? We'd be interested in any opinion you have. Subscribe to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, and if you support us on Patreon or become a sponsor on YouTube, it will really help us create more videos for you. All the best and see you in the next video.